بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمد ونصلي على رسول الكريم. Okay. So, questions that we have for this week's session. So first question, salat in extreme latitudes. All right. So now salat in extreme latitudes for people who are living in areas like Alaska, Norway, anywhere basically where the sun doesn't fully set, then they're going to have to calculate. I mean, 5 salawat, they're fard, and this is something that is based on timing. It's based on movements of the sun, right? So Fajr Salah, that this is offered when the sun is approximately 15 degrees below the horizon. I mean, and this is in normal latitudes, not in extreme latitudes. Dhuhr time is when the sun is directly over your head. There is no shadow. Asr time is when the shadow is double in length. And according to the Shafi school and the Hanbali school, as well as the Maliki school, it's one shadow in length. Maghrib is at sunset, and Isha, that's when the sun has completely gone below the horizon, and it's about 15 degrees below the horizon. This is when Isha time occurs. So now when you're in extreme latitudes, the problem is Isha, that the sun completely doesn't go down. So there's still a lot of light that's left. The horizon is not entirely dark, and it's a little bit tricky. So people who are living in these regions, what they're going to do is they're going to calculate the timing. And there's a few ways to do that. I believe I've answered this question already once. So they're going to calculate the timing. What they're going to do is they're going to either calculate by going to the nearest city or the nearest area which has a legitimate timing for Isha, or what they're going to do is they're just going to calculate based on, when this region actually had an Isha, if that even occurred. Or what they're going to do is that they're just going to wait for an hour and a half after Maghrib and offer Isha in that manner. So there's a few ways to do it. It's a very general question, and I'm answering very generally. Someone just posed the question, and I thought that, let me just answer the question in a very general fashion. Obviously, for those people who are living in, Alaska, Anchorage, Alaska, or Norway, or some of these Nordic countries, Sweden, Norway, these countries, they can pose the question, and I can respond, inshallah. Okay. Right. All right. Let's see. What else do we have? Wa alaikum salam, Hassan. How are you? All right. Using hair oil containing alcohol. So as long as alcohol is not from anything that's from dates or grapes or raisins, right? That is permissible for usage. Right? I mean, so if you're putting, alcohol that's made from dates, grapes, and raisins on your head, and that's when it poses a problem. So as long as you're not doing that, it's fine. And so and majority of the time when you use hair oil, that alcohol is synthetic alcohol. So it has, there is no alcoholic content from dates, grapes, or raisins. It's synthetic alcohol. It's permissible for use, and it's not haram. All right. Third question: is it permissible to use a feather duster made from real feathers? Yes, absolutely. I mean, nowadays there's feather dusters from ostriches or other types of birds. And this is this the qudrat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that um, these dusters, they're made to remove dust. And this is why you see these animals, they're hardly, you don't see them all dusty and stuff, because this is the qudrat of Allah. This is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created them. So these ostriches, these ostrich feather dusters, or feathers taken from any other flying bird, even if it's a predatory bird, it would be permissible to use. So you can use that feather duster and dust throughout the entire house. It's not a problem. And that duster, those feathers, they're not considered as najis. They're not considered impure. So it's permissible to use these feather dusters that are made from ostriches or any other types of birds. Okay. Can we kill bugs and insects? So it depends. It depends on the type of bug. So if it's a nuisance, then yes, absolutely you can kill it, right? So if it's a nuisance, if it's if let's say, for example, there are spiders in the house and stuff, preferably if you're going to kill anything, kill it in one shot. Don't make it suffer, right? Don't smack it a few times and it's in the throes of death and then you just throw it out. No, kill it properly, right? Kill it properly and make sure that thing is dead, right? Don't just make it suffer in its pains and it's dying. It's just wrong. So if you're going to kill anything like a mouse or a rat, it should be in one strike. And if a person can't do it in one strike, make sure you hit it again, and just do it as quickly as possible. So back to bugs and insects. Yes, if they're a nuisance, you can kill them. If they're not a nuisance, then one should not kill them. There are many bugs that are not a nuisance, and there are some bugs that are a nuisance. For example, the stink bug. These things are going around everywhere right now. So they're coming into people's homes and stuff. Yes, absolutely kill them. But the problem is that when you kill them, it releases a really bad smell, hence the name, stink bug. So, and even, these insect repellents like Raid and stuff, it doesn't really work on them. When you spray directly, these things go crazy for a bit and then they're back to normal. But I've seen them everywhere. They're near the Masjid, and I've seen them inside the Masjid as well. Once I was leading the Salat and I saw one of them on my clothes. So, I was in ruku, so in one motion, I just flicked it off. I don't know where it went. But nonetheless, it's very unpleasant when you have, creepy crawlies, on your clothes or, on your body and, stuff like that. I knew one person when I was a student in Pakistan. So I knew one person, there was an issue with bed bugs in the Darul Ulum where I was a student. So what happened was, this one person, what he would do is when he would get bit, he would, turn on the light, find that bed bug. People who have lived in Pakistan, they probably know this. So he would turn on the light, find the bed bug, and he would come up with creative ways to kill it. So sometimes he used to take, this person would take a Swiss Army knife, take out the tweezers, catch the bed bug with the tweezers. Apparently, was very easy for him, and he would put it in the freezer, and he would watch it just die because it's insect. There's no flowing blood; it would just automatically die. And sometimes he would take, he would have the bed bug on the tweezer, and he would take a scissor and just cut it in half. So, and then, when he was asked that, why are you doing this? He goes, well, it bit me and it woke me up from my sleep. So this is something I need to do. Otherwise, I can't live with myself. The thing is that if any bug or insect is a nuisance, it's permissible to kill it. Just don't make it suffer. Kill it as quickly as possible. And if there are bugs that are not a nuisance, for example, you have these lightning bugs and stuff, I mean, those are not a nuisance. You don't need to kill that, right? So it's these bugs are actually a good thing. And then there are other types of bugs as well, like cicadas and stuff. I mean, these are, I mean, they do make noise probably once in like 15, 16 years. You know, they come up from underground. Yeah, sure, they make noise, but that's not a reason to, kill them. So yeah, there are bugs that are a nuisance, and especially when they come inside the home, they're a nuisance. So yeah, absolutely, it's permissible to kill them. Same thing with spiders. I mean, many people say you can't kill spiders. Well, my response to that is, well, what about poisonous spiders, right? You have black widows and you have the brown recluse spider. I mean, these things are poisonous. So you can't go around telling people, hey, you can't kill spiders. But yeah, absolutely, you can kill spiders. And some people, what happens is, when there's spiders in the home, they just leave them alone. But my issue with that is that these things are just spinning webs everywhere, and sometimes you're walking and you're hit with a web out of nowhere, and it's kind of a nuisance. It's kind of annoying. So I mean, to each his own. Just raid the entire. I mean, just use some raid and spray the corners, and the home will be fine. Those things will, or just spray all around the entire house, and your house will have a barrier. No insect is going to get through, and your house will be and your home will be insect free. But the question itself, if the bugs and insects are harmful, yes, go ahead and kill them. And if they're not harmful, just throw them out or something. You don't need to kill them. Then there's like insects such as locusts, where people just eat them, and this is mentioned in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, in places in places such as Iran and Iraq, as well as Africa. They actually eat locusts over there, chocolate covered grasshoppers or chocolate covered locusts and stuff, or they just fry them whole. And apparently it's a delicacy. These things are a delicacy. So, and this is something that Rasulullah ﷺ has mentioned, al-jarad, that it's permissible for consumption, and you don't even have to slaughter it. You just take that thing, you just throw it in. Apparently, you just throw it in some oil and just fry it and eat it just like that. So this would be, this is one of those insects which is permissible for consumption. Otherwise, other insects, it would not be permissible to eat hasharat. They're called hasharatul ard. So hasharatul ard, this would not be permissible for consumption, according to the vast majority of scholars. I mean, who wants to go and eat, I don't know, like a hornet or something? These murder hornets or Asian hornets, they've made their way into the United States. So I was reading that an entomologist got a team together, and they found the nest in Washington, and they vacuumed those things out. I mean, just imagine, eating something like that. I mean, hasharat, and Rasulullah has prohibited eating hasharatul ard, these insects and creepy crawlies and stuff like that. It's not permissible for consumption. But jarad is. We can eat locusts and grasshoppers, because there's a hadith which mentions that it's lawful and it's permissible. Okay, can non-Muslims enter the masjid for a know thy neighbor? Okay, so yes, absolutely, it's permissible for a non-Muslim to enter a masjid. It's actually a good method of da'wah. It's a good method of da'wah. It's a good method of calling people towards Islam. It's a good method to, just make the neighborhood, or the neighbors rather, comfortable with, Muslims coming. Usually, media doesn't help and stuff, and, the news doesn't help us. But, any masjid that's in a neighborhood where, and this is always going to be the case, where the majority of the people who are living, they're non-Muslims, it's a good opportunity for da'wah. Our caretaker was telling me that, we should do something like get, people together and go around the neighborhoods and go around these, local, go to our local neighborhood and just help them with, raking up the leaves and stuff. I mean, this is a good form of da'wah. It really helps, and it really enhances the image of Islam, because that's what we want. We want to enhance the image of Islam, and opening the masjid, having an open house for the masjid, just so that people, they can witness what we're doing in the masjid. Maybe a lot of people probably think, hey, what are these guys doing at 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning? Why are they coming? Why are they waking up so early? I mean, what are they preparing for? So it kind of alleviates a lot of nervousness that people might have against Muslims, a lot of questions as well that people might have against Muslims. So it's a good idea. It's a good opportunity for da'wah to have an open house in the masjid, invite the neighbors, and just bring them and respond to any of their questions. Keep it very informal, and no question should be off limits. And Muslims, we should have thick skin, and we should not shy away from questions. Alhamdulillah, we have responses. Islam is a very academic, a very intellectual. It's a very intellectual religion. It's very academic. We could take any aspect of Islam, write a dissertation on it. So these are all good things. We have a lot of things to offer to non-Muslims, and this would be a good form of da'wah. The Prophet ﷺ, he allowed the Nasara of Najran to enter Masjid Nabwi. Not only did they enter Masjid Nabwi, but they did their prayer service and stuff over there. And the Prophet ﷺ, there was no nakir, there was no prohibition. I mean, this comes in Zad al-Ma'ad. It comes in a book written by Ibn al-Qayyim al-Jawziyah. I believe I mentioned this before, where the Prophet ﷺ allowed the Nasara of Najran to enter Masjid Nabwi, and they did their service in Masjid Nabwi. So this is something that we as Muslims should not have an issue with. We should have an open house. Masajid throughout the United States should have an open house where they invite their neighbors that, hey, come to the masjid, let us know if you have any questions, if you have any issues and stuff. I'm sure, based on my conversations with our caretakers, I'm positive that if neighbors come in, they would probably complain about noise, and this noise usually takes place in the month of Ramadan. But this is probably because right now, the month of Ramadan, it's in the summer months and stuff. When it gets close to winter, I doubt people are going to be loitering outside in the cold. But just it's a matter of a few months, and I mean it's a matter of a few years before Ramadan starts in the winter. And then, all of these complaints, they're going to go down. But we as Muslims should be understanding as well. When we're here in the month of Ramadan, after Taraweeh, after Witr, we should leave without a fuss. We got to wake up the next day anyway. Many people, they have work early in the morning. So to socialize, I mean, that's fine and everything, socializing and talking and stuff. But it shouldn't be to the point where the neighbors start considering, the masjid next to them a nuisance. That it seems that, these Muslims, instead of praying, all they're doing is just socializing and chilling out and, eating and partying and stuff, which is all fine. That's all good. There's nothing wrong with any of these things. It's just that we need to be a little bit more considerate with our neighbors. And one way to repair our image, if our image is broken, is that we help around the neighborhood. Anybody has messed up lawn that needs raking, that needs cleaning, we go around with rakes and we try to help them out to the best of our ability. Okay, what else do we have? Okay, let's see. Does a convert Need to circumcise. Okay. Um, so the question is, someone who has entered into the fold of Islam, someone who has converted, does that person need to be circumcised? No, he doesn't. As a matter of fact, it might be harmful. And that's not to say that if he wants to do it, he can't do it. Sure, he can, right? But it's not a requisite. Many people, especially, when we get excited, right? When someone accepts Islam, we become excited. And the funny thing is that when people accept Islam, we get excited at that point, and we tell that brother, we tell that sister, hey, you know what? You have to change your name now, and if it's a guy, then you have to be circumcised. And that guy is gonna get overwhelmed. So my thing is that first and foremost, no, you don't need to. You don't need to do that. And second thing is, you don't need to change the name. Right? Why? Where does it say that you have to change the name? Is it haram that this person keeps the same name? No, right? It's not haram. When Islam conquered Persia, did the Persians change their names? No, the Persians didn't change their names. I mean, you have Farazdaq. He was a sha'ir, and he was, I believe he had a Persian background, if I'm not mistaken. He never changed his name. So a lot of people, they don't change their names even after entering the fold of Islam. So these are some things that we as Muslims, we get really excited when someone accepts Islam. We say that if it's a guy, hey, you need to get circumcised. This guy is going to run out. He's going to leave Islam. What are you talking about? So we don't need to, pile on a whole bunch of stuff on someone who has just recently converted. Calm down. Let that person come to the local imam, so the local imam can, properly explain to him what that person needs to do and what this person needs to stay away from. So this is something that we need to really keep in mind, that don't give our 2 cents when someone accepts Islam, because we might do irreparable damage, and this guy might just get overwhelmed with Islam, and he's going to leave the faith. He's going to leave the religion. So it has to be in degrees. It has to be, tadrijan, that we introduce slowly the salient features of Islam. And this person accepted Islam, right? So at this point, all he believes in is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is one, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the final messenger. So we don't need to introduce other concepts, right? Unless he's ready to accept them. And this is why it's important for all masjids throughout the world to have some kind of program for new Muslims, so that they can come and they can ask questions and they can learn about the rudimentary features of Islam, the rudimentary teachings of Islam. So they need to learn how to read Arabic. They need to learn the fundamentals of the religion. And the way to do that is to have a new Muslim class, and to make them feel welcome, in the community, not just the day that they accepted Islam. That's the day when they feel welcome. They get a whole bunch of literature, and after that, it's like balloon has popped. All that air, all that excitement, it just dissipates and disappears. Next time we see him, we're like nothing. There's no reaction whatsoever, and that's not the way to go about it. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whenever someone would come into the fold of Islam, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam would appoint someone to teach him about the salient features of the religion, and that same person would teach that individual about salat, about the prayer, that there are 5 times prayer. And we don't need to rush. That person doesn't need to rush and learn Surah Al-Fatiha and the surah just in the prayer. Subhanallah. Start with tasbih and tahmid and tahleel. Subhanallah, alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar, until he memorizes Surah Al-Fatiha. So there is no rush, right? We need to take it easy. with these new converts. We don't need to overwhelm them with a whole bunch of information. We just bombard them with information, and this person is probably going to think that, what did I get myself into? And he's going to, just leave Islam. That, this is too hard. I can't do this. So we need to be very mindful how we portray ourselves and what we are saying when a person becomes a Muslim, how we're interacting with him, what we're telling him, what we're, if we go into, halal and haram. Again, this is too overwhelming for them. We have to take it easy. Just send that person to the local imam, and the local imam, inshallah, will take care of that individual. Okay, so these are all the questions we have for today. Jazakallah khairan. Are there further questions before we break? No further questions. Okay, that's fine. We'll continue next week, inshallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept the time that we give for deen, for religion, and we make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increases us in our knowledge. The more knowledge we have, the better position we will be in our worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Jazakumullah khairan for everyone who stopped by. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.